Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another Fear the Walking Dead video for today after Fear the Walking Dead Season 4 Episode 3 is airing. In this one, we're going to give our thoughts on whether or not we think Madison is already dead. And spoiler warning, as per usual, if you have not seen Fear the Walking Dead up to current date, which is up to Season 4, Episode 3. So, wanted to go ahead and do a video on this one for today with the Q&A, and you guys can keep sending me your questions for Fear. Should have at least 2 more videos this week for Fear before Episode 4 airs, because Episode 3 was just a really crazy episode. We've done lots of videos on it, giving our thoughts on, spoiler warning, Nick having to leave the series, or Nick being killed off because Frank Delane, the actor who plays him, wanted to leave the series and wash his hands of Fear the Walking Dead, it seems, which is really crazy stuff. A lot of people are really upset about it, and we have some, comments from that still in here as well, too. But also another question, and something that's really kind of coming to mind for a lot of people is Madison dead, though? So you have Nick, who, of course, he is dead, and we're seeing that in our current timeline. But is Madison out there somewhere, or is Madison dead at the same time? Because what's tricky about her is that when we meet the Fear group this season, we run into, there's Alicia, who plays Possum on the road, and you have Al, John, Morgan, who get out to kind of see her. You have Strand, so Alicia, Strand, Nick, and Lucy, who gank them basically and take them, and then we get the season playing out as it has. But we don't see anyone else from the Stadium group. The other new character, Naomi, who is in there and looks like she's going to be in episode 4 from the sneak peek with Alicia. Interested to see whether or not she survived, and I would think that she would, but again, there's a lot of kind of flashback sequences in this season, so we don't know in that present timeline how many characters from the Stadium are actually still going to be alive. And if you think about it, now that you take Nick out of the equation, there's like hardly anybody at that Stadium that's really a long-term survivor for Fear. I mean, you have Madison, you have Alicia, Strand, and Lucy, but they didn't really, Charlie is the only other one there that really stood out to me that I can think of at the top of my head. If there's any others, and I can't think of them, that's because they haven't really, stood out enough to be remembered. But, so you have those 4, and then, Charlie is a villain, but with Nick being dead, it's like you have almost nobody left in this show. Like, this show is almost empty. I'm glad they brought on John. I'm glad they brought on Morgan, of course, from the original series that really help out this show, because now that we've seen Nick be killed off, it's in desperate need of that. So adding Morgan on really is probably going to help soften that blow of losing Nick for fans of the series, because it's just like, wow, just slim pickings from that original group. So the question about Madison, this one came in from Nikki Bersion, as well as other people asked the same thing. And she said, am I the only one that thinks Madison is already dead? And, you're not the only one. I mean, I at first thought there was no way that she could be. But right now, with how Fear is going, I really don't feel like we can say conclusively one way or another, because nobody would have thought that they would kill Nick off in Episode 3. Storyline-wise, it makes no sense to kill Nick off at that point. So it's really surprising that they did go that route. Now, if they kill Madison off too, or if we find out that Madison was killed in something that happened at the Stadium, and then that's why Nick wanted his revenge and why he was so compelled to go after the guy in the Camaro and really kill him and fights him to the death and ends up killing him with the deer head. The vulture there, and is so just ready to go after him, bloodthirsty, when even Morgan gets in the way. Morgan can't even prevent Nick from going after him, and Nick does kill him, but then of course Charlie kind of comes out of nowhere and shoots Nick back to kill him too, which also nobody else saw, and some people did mention that as well too. So we're going to have to see how Alicia and the others treat Charlie if they do meet her again. They won't know that she's likely the one who did shoot and kill Nick. They didn't see that part. But the question about whether or not Madison is already dead, it could go either way. I don't think we can say right now that she isn't dead, certainly. But at the same time, going into this, I'm thinking to myself, man, you have almost nobody left. And I know Madison is a polarizing character. I like Madison. I think she's an interesting lead. She's different from Rick in a lot of ways. I love what they did with her in Season 3, especially at the mid-season finale there. But really, when you look at this right now, it's like, just have no idea what they're doing with Fear, right? Of course. Like I think we all kind of feel that way. Like, what is going on with Fear right now? But at the same time, I don't see, if you want Fear to continue for many more seasons, if you don't want this to be the last season of Fear, if you want it to go into a season 5 and a season 6, you kind of need at least Madison to be there. I mean, Nick is dead, okay, that's bad enough. But if they killed Madison off too at the start of this season, that basically tells me that Fear is getting a full reboot. So Morgan is basically coming in, taking over as kind of the lead of the whole series, and this is becoming his series at this point, which I really hope they don't do that. And it's nothing against Morgan. Morgan's one of my all-time favorite characters for Walking Dead. If you saw my top 10 list, he's number 2 for me right now. So it's not a slight against him. The thing is that Fear is its own show too, and we've spent 3 years. We've had 3 seasons. Season 3 being the best of the 3, I think, easily, and being a standout season that really is as good as some of the best seasons of the Walking Dead original series. That's how good season 3 of Fear is. It really is. So when you have a season like that with season 3 of Fear, we've had all these seasons beforehand. I would not really want to see them just scrap the Fear group and move on with Morgan and the others. And of course, you have Strand, you have Lucy, and you have Alicia, and she's fine. She's probably the biggest standout of the 3. I was never a huge fan of Strand. I like Strand. He's okay, but I wouldn't say he's a character that's going to tie down a whole series. And then Lucy wasn't even in much of season 3. She wasn't even there pretty much. So it's okay that they brought her back, but that's why I tend to think right now, like when it comes to the question, is Madison already dead? I tend to say I don't think so. I think that Madison is still alive. If you want Fear to continue as its own series, I think you have to have Madison still be alive. If they kill her off too, then that's like everybody, and that's the point where it's like basically it's either a total just cluster, they have no idea what they're doing, or I would say that they're kind of revamping the whole show. They're rebooting it all and using Morgan to help it continue onward. And then there's some people who even have a theory, which we'll get into maybe tomorrow or the next day, that possibly we could see the Fear group Fear end maybe at the end of season 4, which again we'll get into tomorrow or the next day in a topic video by itself. But is this the last season of Fear? And if it is the last season of Fear, I can understand if you kill Madison off, you assimilate, those other characters in with Morgan, and maybe Morgan convinces them to go back to Rick's group, and then they eventually join back with Rick and the others in the original series. But then Fear ends, right? So at the end of season 4, it would not get a season 5 if you're going to do that. You'd bring Morgan and the others back into the original Walking Dead series, which, I mean, I guess it could work, but I do like, personally, getting those extra episodes of Fear versus getting nothing, and I would like to see it continue on as its own kind of entity. It just feels like it's been served a huge blow this week with losing Nick. I don't think you can do the same thing with Madison. So, in terms of logic, Nick is certainly acting like she's dead already, and that's for sure. I can't disagree with that. He certainly is. In terms of in-world logic, you'd say, yeah, she's dead, but, looking at it from the outside, you think, like, if they kill her off too, then Fear is basically in a really bad way, and it's probably borderline cancellation territory just because you lost everybody that was a standout in the show. At this time. So even though it would make sense, maybe what I'm thinking might have happened is maybe they think Madison is dead, which is why they're not really looking for her. They're kind of out there on their own, and they're hunting down the vultures, and they're doing that stuff. Maybe they think she's dead, but she's not. So that's kind of my prediction right now. I'm leaning towards thinking that she's not dead, but also knowing that I could be wrong in that prediction as well. So leave a comment below for you guys. What do you think? Do you think that Madison is dead right now? And if they kill her off too, how does that affect the future for Fear? Do you think that Fear's days are numbered if they kill off both Nick and Madison? Because I really do see the angle that that's so many characters from the original lineup that I don't know if the series would be able to continue on. It's really difficult to just clean slate and start again and have it be like a 5th season or season 4. It almost feels like at that point, if you're going to do that, you almost have to end the one series and start a whole new series and call it something else. Like if it's going to be Morgan's journey or something, The Walking Dead and then some other kind of tag. Instead of Fear the Walking Dead, you do The Walking Dead, A New Journey or something. You do some other kind of spin-off. But you end the Fear one. It really feels like here it's kind of like it's being assimilated, but, I hope that Madison is still surviving in the show, and I hope that she's going to continue onward just because, and it's not that I think the character is that great. I would probably pick Nick over Madison, but if you had the choice. But at the same time, you just don't have, there's so few left that if they do that, it really feels like a reboot, and I'd be surprised if Fear can last that much longer with almost none of the original characters still alive. Unless they do it really well, and I guess that could work. They kind of did that in Season 3. They killed off Travis. The group was very small, but they added on really compelling characters, and they did amazing stuff in Season 3, and it worked out okay. And then they killed off a bunch more characters, so... Also something I have some gripes with. They should have at least left Troy or somebody alive to cross into this season if they knew that Nick wasn't going to last. ArtsyCat says, I feel like they did kill Fear, Trev. I don't really feel like watching anymore. Nick was the main reason I liked Fear. So ArtsyCat is basically saying that she feels like, or he feels like, they did kill Fear the Walking Dead when they killed Nick off this week, which is crazy. Adam W. says, what a bunch of whine asses. If it wasn't clear from the first 2 episodes, the Fear you knew is gone. As far as I'm concerned, it was the only chance of survival left for a show that's been stagnating for 3 seasons. So I have seen this viewpoint quite a bit. And, man, Season 3, I don't know. Well, everyone's entitled to their opinion. So I don't want to say that, Season 3, you can't look at it as bad if you didn't like it. I mean, I thought Season 3 was incredible. I actually like Season 2 of Fear a lot, too, because we got to see the Abigail, we got to see the water and the zombie apocalypse from a different point of view in Mexico than we've ever seen before, which was cool. The first season, the last couple episodes were really good. The beginning, it did start off too slow, probably, and that's probably true. It started off with Nick, really, so... the first season of Fear, if there's any part of Fear I think that could have been better, the first few episodes there were not as fast-paced to get the viewers to stay tuned and watch as they probably should have been. And the characters weren't compelling enough, it seems, to get people to really get invested in Fear. They tried it, 10 million views to start, and it fizzled out pretty quick. But... of course, you're entitled to your opinion, Adam. It's up to you, man, whatever you want to think. But to be honest, I really enjoyed the first 3 seasons. There's some episodes there, especially Season 3, where I was like thinking, this is almost as good as the original Walking Dead series. Like, some of these episodes are almost as good. The Alicia episode there in Season 3 and the Herd that they saw there were some really great episodes in Season 3 that were like, wow. Walker as a villain in the first half, just some amazing stuff, man, that I was like, this is awesome. So really impressed by, and then for them to kind of wipe their hands clean of it all, if they do kill Madison, you're just basically kind of taking a couple of characters from what you had before, you're creating something new. I feel like it's kind of disrespectful to your long-running fans of Fear. And I know there aren't that many of us. Each episode of Fear in Season 3 only got like a couple million viewers. But so I know there aren't that many. But, we're still there. We're here. We want to watch the series. We want to see a 4th season. We want it to be good. We're excited about Morgan coming in. But we also want to see those other characters. The only people that wouldn't care at all are people who didn't like the first 3 seasons at all, who hated Madison, hated the group. Then they just want to see Morgan, and that's why they're watching. And that's fine, too. But, I don't know, man. It was really cool to get all those episodes with Nick and the others prior in the first 3 seasons. And I'm a little sad that they didn't they weren't able to keep him, but really hoping they don't kill Madison as well, too. Because then it really feels like they're just wiping their hands clean of Dave Erickson's work in the first 3 seasons, and they're deciding to totally go. I wonder how he feels about this, too. Because, seeing the show be so different from what he was building, I kind of feel sorry for him because it's like he must have worked so hard on building up this series and working with everybody and getting everything set here, bootstrapping this new show, making Season 3 like one of the best seasons of Walking Dead has ever had, and then just to kind of have the whole thing kind of change around and a lot of his characters, some of them be left by the wayside like Daniel and Walker and some of the others, and then losing Nick, and then if they killed Madison too, it's like, wow, it's like literally the first few seasons were kind of for nothing except for the Alicia stuff and I guess Strand and Lucy, sort of, because without Nick, who knows what they're going to do with her. TurboCMinusMinus says, only Nick knew Charlie killed him. My prediction, Madison can't be dead since Nick is gone. End of the season, Madison will reunite with what remains of her group, and they'll have saved Charlie somehow. Madison will say something like, "Nick would have wanted you here," and the final shot will be of Charlie's face, the audience knowing what she did, but no one else knowing for now. And that's true. That could be something. If they do that, that would be pretty brilliant. And Charlie could be, if she never tells them, they won't know that she's the one who did it. So, yeah. And then the last one will be from, let's see here, Jack Goldberg, who said, Nick is showing rage of a son whose mother was killed. He never even debated killing that guy since Morgan and crew showed up. Seemed as his sole mission was to avenge someone or something. So, yeah, man, I mean, it could be. We'll see, but definitely, guys, that'll be it for today's video. Leave the comments below. Weigh in. What do you think and why? Do you think Madison is dead? Do you think she's still alive in the series? And how do you feel all of this relates to the series and maybe a Season 5? Tomorrow, I'll do another video for you guys on Season 5 and whether or not we'll even, we'll even see one, or if they might do the whole idea of having the characters move into the original series and kind of close off Fear at the end of Season 4. Let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments below. And if you like this video, please thumb it up below. You can share, you can favorite. And if you're new and you want to subscribe to the channel, you can subscribe at the bottom. That's it for this one. See you guys again soon for another video. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace later, guys. See you soon.